Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm not sure how you found this channel, but I'm glad that you did find the channel. I hope that you'll watch all of the other videos. The other videos pertain to the Real Housewives of Potomac, and the last video I posted was on relationship standards, and so this is the part 2, since I didn't mention all of the housewives in the part 1. I included the part 1 video talking about Charisse and saying there isn't much to say about Charisse, and the reason why is because Charisse probably has settled for having an absent husband. She got her social status in this community because of her husband's profession, and she freely admitted that in the beginning of the season, saying that when people found out who her husband was, suddenly they wanted to invite her to lunch and to be her friend and to make her a part of things. So she is aware that without her husband's professional status, she would not have status in that enclave. And also, she is also well aware of the fact of her age. She's 50 years old. She's not completely accepted in that environment because she only has her status because of her husband, and he happens to be out of state. He's not even part of that community, really. And so throwing these lavish parties and kind of positioning herself in the, among those who are really into philanthropy has been her entree into that community. But as a divorced woman, even Katie has mentioned it's not a good look not to be married. And so Katie is very well aware of all of the norms. And so I think Charisse is aware of them as well, that if she gets divorced, her financial situation will change once her children are finished with college. It is very likely that her divorce settlement will include the house up until the point when the children are finished with their college educations. And then, of course, the child support will probably be reduced or probably non-existent because they'll be 21. And she probably will not have alimony after they graduate from college. So her children appear to be teenagers right now. And so she is probably well aware of how her financial status will change. Also, she is aware of how her social position will change in that environment. And as Katie even mentioned, being a divorced woman is not something that is admired. And so I think Charisse is aware of all of that. I think she is aware that the likelihood of her marrying another man at her husband's financial level is very slim. She's not considered, this great beauty or anything. And prior to her husband, she was a teacher from Baltimore. And so what income level that is. So certainly she probably does not want to go back to that standard of living. And so that's why there's not much to say about Charisse. I will say this, Charisse was not irate with Giselle with that level of venom just because Giselle brought someone to her home without asking, just because Giselle was making unnecessary noise in her kitchen, and just because Giselle decided to go up her steps without permission. Yes, all of those were violations of etiquette, but that was not the reason for Charisse's venom. The reason for Charisse's venom that she did not want to admit was that Giselle had brought up her marriage in front of everybody, and she tried to play it off at Karen's birthday party with her answer, saying that she doesn't mind having an absent husband, and she kind of laughed off the notion that people were asking her, is her husband cheating on her? When a man doesn't come home, there's a problem. And when a man is more in love with his career than his own children and he chooses to be an absent father, there's a problem. Charisse is not at an age where she doesn't understand that. So, her declarations that his career is just so busy really will prove to be a smokescreen. He either has another relationship or he's planning on divorcing her, even if he isn't in another established relationship. Speaking of that, I did mention Robin, but, Robin said that her first marriage ended because of infidelity, but she didn't mention Chris, which was the woman that Juan was involved with. And this was not just a jump off. Juan was taking care of Chris. He was taking care of Chris's child. He was living with Chris in different parts of the world, pursuing his basketball career. So you don't do all that with a jump off. So clearly Juan was in an established relationship with this woman to have taken her different places throughout the world. And he was providing for her solely when they were in these other countries. And so I think that she is well aware of the fact that Juan's relationship with Chris was not just a jump off situation, and that it was a relationship that Juan had invested in. Also, what was interesting is that when she asked Juan about leaving for the job, he said that it would be tough. And he didn't mention that it would be tough to leave his children. But it seemed to be that's what he was implying, that he was thinking that he would. And it was interesting when Robin said it would be a hard decision for her to make whether to go with Juan. But according to the footage, Juan wasn't really stating that he was planning on taking Robin with them. And Juan would not just take the boys with him either. There's no way that he would be able to have his career as a single father and try to do all that. But I guess it remains to be seen. 3 years have gone by. He has not said he wants to be married with her again. Robin still doesn't know if he's seeing other people, and she mentioned that to Giselle in a conversation. So I think that Juan is not really interested in remarrying her. And I think at some point she'll have to come to grips with that. And as far as Karen, Karen's maiden name, I think, is Carter. And Karen has been very hush-hush about what her background was, who her first child's father is, what that relationship was about, what Karen was doing professionally. We don't know any of that so far from Karen, but we're only 3 episodes in. But Karen is claiming to be 52. She doesn't look 52 at all. She looks 62 or maybe even mid-60s. Her husband appears to be about 70s, and he just seems old, the gray hair, the grandpa look. He looks like he could be driving Miss Daisy. If you put him in a pair of overalls in front of his own house, you would mistake him for the gardener. And that's just because of his look. And so he married this flamboyant woman, Karen Carter, I think is her maiden name, I'm not sure, who wanted to be a socialite and who wanted to promote him and who wanted to make him a focus. And so that's who he's married to. But I'm concerned a little bit if Karen really is telling the truth about being 52, because she looks so much older that it would suggest either there was a substance abuse problem, there was a drinking problem, which I doubt drinking was the issue for her, because she was, at this whiskey tasting, drinking freely. It's just that a woman who takes very good care of herself doesn't look 10 years older than their age. And so that's why there's just so many questions about Karen claiming to be 52. But I suppose that will come out later. But Charisse is saying that she's 50. She looks great for 50, but there's just such a big difference in appearance in terms of Charisse saying 50 and then Karen claiming 52. But we'll soon find out as the season goes on. The other person I didn't mention was Ashley in my part 1 video. And, Ashley has been called a gold digger in social media, which I think is probably an unfair characterization. She, decided to get a college education. She's not a baby mama. So it's not like she graduated from high school and had no goals whatsoever, and just decided to have child after child with different people. She went to college. I think she has a degree. She got into the pageant world that is very competitive. She mentioned on camera that she was a bartender and that's how she met her husband. So none of those things point to someone who is gold digging. It just points to a 26-year-old who did not come from a privileged background and who has basically worked her behind off to try to make a way for herself and a path for herself. And so I just don't think that the gold digger label applies to women who are hardworking and who get their own educations on their own and all of that. So this is my part 2 on relationship standards, and feel free to leave some comments in the comment section, and thanks for watching.